Keith, we were talking at 4:30 about how difficult it's going to be for a lot of these school districts to have to make a decision. I know that the superintendent in Lewiston actually put out a notice on Twitter saying they're going to wait until the morning time, and I imagine that's the position most of them are in, is having to wait and see will they have power at 7 or 8 a.m.
Power is the main thing. So and sometimes there are algorithms for predicting this, but it's fairly hard. So you have to kind of just see where you shake out. We got winds. That's where we're talking with the power outages. We got some snow and we've got rain. A little of everything. And the only people I've seen so far respond positively to the maps that I have posted have been skiers, because that's going to be the only bright side to this storm. Look at the size of this thing, though, all the way back to Chicago, and we've got severe weather into the Carolinas here. We're watching the leading edge, which is just now moving into New Hampshire and far western Maine. Once we saturate this air mass, we'll be able to get the snow going, and once that happens, it'll be pretty rough pretty quickly in western Oxford County, northwest York County, and probably interior Cumberland County as well through what I would consider the early evening hours. So the snow moves in, it starts to snow most everywhere, and it quickly changes over to rain along the coastline. That's not much of a battle at all. 10 o'clock there, you can see it's still snowing in Rockland. It's snowing a bit in Bangor and Waterville too. The rain snow line makes more progress by about 1, 2 in the morning. Still snowing in Bangor though, and Waterville, and probably just about to change over in Augusta. Once we change over, there's some really heavy rain behind this, and that's where we could run into some issues with some flash flooding, snowpack, and then the rain right on top of it. Mountains clinging to snow by early tomorrow morning. They're the only ones, though. The rest of us changed over to rain. The only thing that keeps this from being a huge flooding disaster, I think, is the fact that it moves pretty quickly. So it's not sitting there for a long period of time. In fact, by late morning tomorrow, a lot of us are cleared out, and we may even see some sunshine through the middle of the day. So 6 to 12 inches of snow into the mountains and foothills here, a couple of 12-plus bullseyes where it's cold enough in the high terrain, 3 to 6 into Bangor, Lewiston, Augusta, Waterville too, and then 1 to 3 along the immediate coastline. All of this will get washed away by the rain that comes behind it, which looks to be about 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain. And so the area that I've circled here, the most likely flood zone, is a confluence of most of it falling as rain and the fact that we have snowpack on the ground. So once you melt that snowpack, you add additional, what we call liquid equivalent to the situation, and that adds to the amount of runoff. The ground's frozen, so all of these factors make it very hard for the ground to absorb any of this precipitation. So it runs off, and that's where you get your flooding from. So it doesn't mean it can't flood here. It just means it's more likely down into this part of it. I think when we come down to it, though, our biggest, most widespread problem affecting the most amount of people is probably going to be power outages. Winds are going to be gusty by about midnight tonight, but I think as far as outages, most of that will happen after midnight. Let's say after midnight and before 9 a.m. tomorrow. That's the window. It depends on your location. You take a look at 4 in the morning, it's gusting to near 50 miles an hour along the coastline. Strongest gusts verbatim on the models over southern Maine, a place like Portland, Sanford, and Wiscasset. We're probably talking about 6 or 7 in the morning. And then it's a little bit later, more like 7 to 9 over down East Maine. Wind gusts are up to 60 miles an hour over southern Maine. It could be 60 to 65 miles an hour over down East Maine, and that's where our power outage problems will come from. And of course, we've talked about this, we have another storm coming our way on Saturday, so if we have outages, we're only looking at about 2 days or a day and a half to right that situation before our next storm moves in. It is not brutally cold in between, which is good for power outage circumstances. It doesn't help with the boredom and losing food and all that other stuff, but you don't have as much problem heating. The second storm on Saturday gets cold behind that into the teens on Sunday and Monday, and then we've got another storm Tuesday into Wednesday. If we're lucky, guys, that one will be snow, because we definitely don't want another inside runner storm like we've had with this one and the next one coming through.
Punch after punch.
Yeah. Thanks, Keith.